For Father's Day, my wife got me a subscription to an online podcast kind of thing on Saint Joseph. And one of the things that I completely did not identify with was that Saint Joseph was, a man of few words. And I wish I was a man of few words. I tend to talk and not know exactly what I'm going to say. Fortunately, I can edit myself here in the video, but usually I talk to try to figure out what it is that I'm thinking. Some people write, writers start writing. Well, I start talking, and I never really know exactly what's going to come out of my mouth. I was raised Catholic because my father was raised Catholic. He was raised by two Italian immigrants, his grandparents, who owned a house out behind the Immaculate Conception in Portsmouth. And he grew up there and went to St. Pat's. And in order to get married in the Catholic Church, my mom had to agree that we would be raised Catholic, even though she herself was more of a born-again Christian. When my father was 38, he had a form of cancer that made him sick pretty quickly, and he suffered for about 4 months and then passed away. And by that point, my faith had already been established, or at least the framework for it. Our parents had made sure that we had been obviously baptized and gone to First Reconciliation and Eucharist, and I was an altar boy for a little while. And I had my own personal relationship with God, and at least I felt, through the prayer that I'd done. When my parents were going to get divorced, I remember praying about it, and they didn't get divorced, and I didn't know if it was because of my prayers, but I remember praying about it, and I think that is something that I took away from that experience. When my father was dying and suffering, I would go to Mass and I would see Christ on the cross suffering, and there were times I really thought about Christ suffering with meaning and purpose. And when my father died, I was there with him. I was the only one with him. I was 12 years old, and we'd talked about things like, does the soul leave the body after you die, or does it hang out for a while? And to a 12-year-old, those are some pretty profound things to think about, I guess, for anybody. But I just, at the time, when I prayed, it was really important to me. It saved my life. The few years that followed my father's death were really difficult for my family. My mother was depressed, suicidal, and my sister had suffered from mental illness. And I think it was really important for me to have my own relationship, which I guess is what, prayer, that's what I guess I'm calling my relationship with God, is prayer. And in the way that I would pray, I learned that from, I guess, going to church, those themes of forgiveness and, the suffering with meaning, other principles that I got through my faith. I would like, humility, I guess, caring for others, also just the concept that God wanted me to do something with myself that wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do. I think early on I prayed about that. I guess for some, that I would be able to do God's will. Help me to do what He wanted with my life. We're all parents here. That's ultimately what I ended up doing with my life. One of the things, anyway. Um, and I think about how, as a father, you know, I have to be a spiritual role model, and I get to be a spiritual role model for my kids. When my wife and I started dating, um, I really wasn't thinking about church at the time. It wasn't in my mind to be like, oh, this girl, she's Catholic. Um, but it turned out to be a really amazing blessing for both of us. I'm not sure she wants me to do this, but I'm going to talk a little bit about my wife because she has been a real inspiration to me. Um, she is stuck by me at times where I have not been the best husband, and maybe could even been the worst husband at times. Um, but beyond that, I've watched her grow in her faith. When she was bringing the kids to Sunday school, they didn't have family formation back when our oldest daughter was attending. And my wife started volunteering, teaching the classes, and I think she had to grapple with her own understanding of faith and our faith. And so I've been able to sort of catch a ride with her, I guess. I started attending a men's group on Tuesday mornings at St. Mary's at 6 a.m. if you're interested. And just to be around other people that are searching or pursuing their faith or trying to strengthen it is has been a real blessing. As a father, I need God. I need God as a role model for me when I feel like I'm not being a good father, someone that I can turn to. Um, I need God in my life so that I can be the best person I can be for them, and I need them to know that I am turning to God. They know I'm not perfect. They'll tell you. Um, I need to be a person that needs God, and then I think they too will recognize that that's a place that they can go. Um, I find it really powerful sometimes when I can go in and bless my children, um, and to put the sign of the cross on their head. I'm not sure who told me that, but someone said I could do that. Makes me feel really powerful to be in the presence of God like that. I can really overcomplicate things sometimes, and it helps me a lot to remember the simple fact that God is love, and I can't really complicate that somehow. It's just very simple and powerful. God is love. I'm really struggling with recording this because I haven't figured out what happened to me when I was praying to God. When I had known that my son was going to potentially have Down syndrome, and somehow in the prayer, I don't know if it's that I knew that he was going to have Down syndrome. It was more like I wanted him to have Down syndrome. But I think maybe more accurately, it might be that I knew that if he had Down syndrome, I would really need God or feel God's presence, because that was something unknown to me, and I would need to rely on God. I think that's what happened when I was praying. It wasn't that I was praying for him to have Down syndrome, but that I would feel God's love. And then part of me knew that I would feel God's love most if I needed to depend on him. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And man, was I right, or was God right? Thank you, God, because I had no idea the kind of joy that I would feel having Augie be Augie, and he does have Down syndrome. I had fear in the beginning, but now that's all gone, and I am just so happy and blessed that God let us have Augie. So much so that when Katrin and I were talking about adopting Henry, it was just a wonderful feeling to know that we could, raise another child with special needs like Augie, and it was just going to be all right. The experience we had flying to Idaho this summer to adopt Henry was amazing. God was there, no doubt. No doubt God was there the whole time. We had an opportunity to sit down with Henry's mom, birth mom, and her parents, and the profound experience I had to tell her thank you for having Henry. Thank you for giving birth to Henry. It was not easy for her. She had struggles, and she chose to have the baby. And not only that, she chose us as a family to take that baby, and we feel so blessed, and it feels so good to be able to thank her like really sincerely. I know it could not have been easy in any way for her to do what she did, but I could say with all sincerity, like, thank you, and I think about how many mothers out there that have been able to make that choice, that have been able to say, I'm going to have this baby and carry this pregnancy through, and there's families out there for them. And children with special needs, it's a gift. It's a gift. When I was a freshman in high school, I found a picture of my dad holding me as a baby, and he had a big smile on his face. And he'd been gone for a couple years at that point, and I kind of burst into tears myself because I had this revelation how much he loved me, and it was a pretty profound moment for me. And I get it that I made him happy and he loved me, and I certainly hope Augie understands that about me. And I think our Holy Father, our Father in heaven, loves us. And then to understand that love, and to know that we're loved that way is I'm reminded by that when I get to be with my children and experience God's love. God's love. God is love. That's the simple truth, right, Oxbox? Yeah, that's true. God bless you all, and thank you for this opportunity. Can you say bye?